Well, then that's the end of that conversation.
Self another drink.
Oh, you could say it. What? Oh, no.
What's going on with UK censorship? I want to be informed. I feel like that's not a hot topic.
For a later time.
Okay. I'll be
back. I am Gale now.
All right. That's not what I wanted. Today, the UK Parliament undermined the privacy, security, and freedom of all internet users. This is 2023. So they created a backdoor through the ISPs.
Oh, and it gets rid of end-to-end encrypted messaging. That's going to be great for journalists. Here's the thing: they always say it's for ending child trafficking, but it never really helps with that. It just gives them more control over the information their people can see.
Yeah. Online platforms will be expected to remove content that the UK government views as inappropriate for children. If you feel it.
Yeah, the whole your internet access being tied to your government issued ID has been a thing in the UK for a while.
Gotcha.
So again, it's not like China censored, but it's like what the again, this is coming from me like I hesitate to call myself a raging libertarian, but I'm in the neighborhood. You know, if you're not hurting someone, I don't give a shit,
Yeah.
right? Like if you want to log on and watch people farting on birthday cakes on Twitch, like I think you should be able to.
You shouldn't have to
Like,
show your ID to get online. Yeah, okay.
well, I mean, I think there should be some sort of age verification.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think that's helpful. Like, I don't know. What's that old boomer meme where they show like a pencil on a cassette tape and it's just like if you know what the connection is, like okay, cool. Like some sort of test. But like, I don't know. Because I agree there's got to be some way to keep kids from looking at shit.
I'd say, oh, I can't wait till the US tries this, but they could barely get through that deposition with the TikTok like
Oh, and here's the thing.
managers. Like they could barely understand what's going on there. Like they're not gonna be able to.
The US doesn't block, they just watch. Like they have God, how many fucking petabytes? Is it exabytes? Out in Utah. Just a warehouse of storage for all this surveillance data. Like I don't know.
You wanna know
Friends
something that's
who
messed up though?
what's that?
A lot of like so like Facebook, Google, and Amazon, we'll just say the big three, they have like massive servers and like storage and stuff for their stuff, right? That they build a warehouse and they build giant server farms on it just because they need it.
Well, in Amazon Web Services, yeah,
Yeah, that's what Amazon.
they run like half the internet. It's just crazy.
Well, apparently, like the majority of the land that it's on is still owned by the U.S. government. They just like the U.S. government owns it, and they just like, yeah, here's your permission to build this on it. So like, technically it's on their property.
What?
Oh, and I'm sure, like, the doors don't even have locks as far as the government's concerned. They can just walk in, like, whatever.
If they wanted to.
What's on
The
whose
only
property?
saving grace is there's so much data that they just can't find anyone. Like, every time someone goes and, like, shoots up a place, it's always like, "Oh, they were on the radar," and that's because they went back, looked this person up, and found 1,000 red flags that they didn't pick up. Because there's so much data, they can't process it fast enough.
A bit out of the loop here. What are we talking about?
So Google, AWS, and like Facebook, they're, or I should say Alphabet technically, they all need giant server farms just to keep operating and keep the stuff that they're doing. A lot of those server farms are like just big warehouses with server racks and stuff, and the majority of those buildings are on property owned by the U.S. government.
Huh.
The government will buy the property, and then they give them a contract like, yeah, you can build your server farm on here.
And, like, this is normally where I'd put my aluminum foil hat on, but, like, they're not even trying to hide it. And
No.
why would they? What are we gonna do?
You could go online and, well, I mean, if you had the permissions or whatever, but you can look up land deeds and stuff like that, and you can find it.
I mean, that's the thing about the government. They're terrible at keeping secrets.
They're not even they're not even trying to keep this one. And yeah, you're right. But we were talking about the censorship in the UK, and I'm like, yeah, if our government decided to try something like that, like in the deposition where they were trying to like figure out if how harmful TikTok is to a person and stuff like that. I was watching some of those some of like the recordings that are online, and the length that it took for like the board that they selected to understand basic like internet protocols was absurd. Like, one of the questions that stuck with me is like, if TikTok is on your phone, is it able to like communicate with like your smart washer or the other devices on your internet? And it's like, no. But the guy from TikTok, he was pro. He's like, I don't think so. It just asks for permissions to look at stuff on your phone. But I'd have to ask people who know that. But they were thinking just because you download an app on your phone that it could take control of a smart device that's connected to your Wi-Fi.
And I run TikTok on my toaster. That's what the people want to know.
I wish. Walk up to your fridge and just have a scroll wheel automatically going when you're grabbing groceries.
The big
Just
thing
like... No, go ahead.
the big thing that like gets me is I'll talk to people around me and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I don't want my information to be out there." I'm like, you could talk to anybody and your information's out there. I'll talk to somebody and they'll mention a band I've never heard of, and I'll log into my computer and YouTube will suggest this band to me. I'm like, what the heck?
My mom was giving me shit for having smart like Google Homes because it what was it, 2018 or whatever, if you had a Spotify account, they're giving away free Google Home Minis. You just had to go online and type it in and they would mail one to you. You didn't even have to pay shipping. It was fucking dope. So I got one, Katie got one, and I got my roommate's one because he had 2 Alexas or whatever. So he gave me his, and we were using it at the apartment, and my mom's like, you know those are listened to, right? Like, oh, you shouldn't have those. You know those are listened to, right? I'm like, Mom, I already have a phone.
Yeah.
It's not picking up more than my phone's picking up. My phone's... As soon as you sign that I agree to the user end agreement on your phone, when you boot it up, you're doomed.
Your phone picks up everything. You have a cell phone, you talk to anybody who has a cell phone. There's no reason to be concerned about hiding your information.
Yeah,
It's
one of
all
those
out there.
Bezos wiretaps right here. Like,
What?
privacy's fake, so the convenience is fine.
Yeah, that's why I find the paranoia around it so just weird and needless. There's nothing you can do unless you isolate yourself and get off the grid. But since you're choosing to live in a society, work a job, make money, pay taxes, you're like everyone else. Your information is just as readily accessible as everybody else.
So
There's no measures you can take to protect that information.
on a point with that, so the city I live in, they have a like every third block or something, you see a box with cameras on it, and it's flashing blue and red because the city police department, they actually upgraded and installed this, like, I forgot what they called it, but it's a huge like network security thing, or like not network security, but like city security thing. So like if crime happens, they can see, like they can track a car going through intersections or whatever and be like, oh yeah, this person came from here and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't care. Like I say, if, or my defense, my thing is always like, if they cared about people running red lights or speeding on streets, they would install red light cameras and speedometer or speed cameras on every intersection. But they don't, so they don't actually care about it, so they don't do that. But so they have that here, and it's like, okay, fine. Well, apparently down in Florida, the state government deemed that as unconstitutional, and so they had to disable all of them. My brother got in an accident where, like, he was driving, someone cut over into his lane and was coming head on, so he turned out of his lane to the next lane or something, and then it involved another guy hitting him, and it was like right at an intersection or whatever. And if he's like having to foot the bill or whatever, and if there was the like intersection cameras, he could have got, you can request the like that for a certain time if your car is involved or whatever, and he could have got that provided to the insurance company, and the insurance company would have paid for it, and like would have found that the other guy was at fault, but because it's all disconnected, he can't get that. So now it's just like court battle or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing about all this stuff. I feel like it's actually a good thing for this information to be readily available. All these measures to block this stuff and limit it, that's just one example of why it's not great.
Oh,
It's called progress. It's called moving forward.
there is you should look for your city, for your state. I in Missouri, there's a um I've looked at it multiple times. You can the you can go online and just like the DOT website, and you can actually see a mirror link or image or a mirrored link or whatever, and just watch the traffic cameras. They're not the police cameras, but they're the traffic cameras that they have posted up. And so like before I've like left for work, I've actually looked at those to see, because I can go down like the freeway to see if it's backed up or not. So I've looked at those. I'm like, oh, I'm taking this route today because there's an accident on that freeway.
That's cool. That's cool that you can do that. It's not something I would personally utilize because I'm too lazy, but I think it's definitely a good thing the information's out there.
But yeah, it's publicly available information, and I support that. Like, put it all out there. Fuck it.
Absolutely.
So that can be used in the wrong way, but like the majority of it won't be.
Also,
Those Ring doorbells.
Ah, shit.
A lot of police contract has video feeds. You can
I
go
didn't catch
every sort of like
my
Ring doorbell.
Okay, wait. My internet is hiccuping.
internet problems or
not well. Oh, the internet might be. It's they're hacking.
Oh, wait.
A tinfoil hat on my Wi-Fi router. That might fix it.
Oh yeah, I hear
Yeah.
those things actually work.
Wait.
Yeah, keep the government mind control race from getting at my internet.
I was about to click restart, and then we're back.
You see, that's because we called them out on their insidious machinations, and they're interfering with our conspiracy circle we're having here.
Yeah, it's all like a series of it's like a chess match. We just call them so they have to step off.
Wait.
Otherwise, they're just proving our point.
Yeah, it's like if I said, "Hey, that neighbor who takes the garbage out twice a week for some reason is going to shoot me with a CIA heart attack gun," then they'll call it off. Hey, these people are pissed off at this government we don't like. here's tons of explosives and guns and shit. Go nuts. And they do.
Oh. I'm
But I
confused.
thought ISIS was an accident.
Whoopsie doodles. Yeah,
I mean,
no, it's I mean,
Or ignorance.
a lot of the problems in the world are created by the CIA, so that the CIA can try to solve it.
well, and yeah, and ISIS presents us with the opportunity for a forever war, which they've been horny for since before Vietnam. Like, but again, that's some tinfoil hat territory.
I mean, it is. You can get into like Cheney and all that. There's a lot you could talk about, but like all of it's very hard to prove or find tangible information on.
Yeah, and they're super happy to pretend they're just like Mr. Magooing their way through this shit and just like sitting on their own balls every day. But like, you gotta imagine a certain degree of it is intentional.
I mean, I feel like a lot of it was, but like a lot of other things in history, a lot of the most atrocious things, the people running the show are much more incompetent than anybody's willing to admit.
True.
It's just my take on it. I don't think if the government or the CIA wanted to keep a secret that they really could that well. And if they wanted to succeed at something, they would stumble and bumble their way through it. And then people would create all sorts of conspiracies because no way it was that hard, or no way they're hiding this. You know, it invents its own theories. People just ascribe more competence to things than they probably should. Everybody fucks up. Even the CIA, especially the CIA and the government, the military.
Well, my favorite was a bunch of CIA dark sites in Africa were exposed due to was it people having access to Fitbit's location data, and all of a sudden, all these users from Langley, Virginia, were seen jogging the same perimeter out in the middle of nowhere in Africa every day. And it's like, yeah, they were out there jogging with their Fitbits, and it's like, okay, what are a bunch of dudes from Langley doing out there? Oh, oh, they're doing some shady shit in Africa.
Yeah.
Cool. I wonder what's going on in this rectangular area.
Yeah.
Stuff like that always gives me a little bit of hope for the future, just a touch.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me hope too. It also like puts a lot of what would you call it? It sheds a light on like a lot of like what you imagine things are versus what they probably are. Like Area 51, for instance, people imagine aliens being kept there. People imagine all sorts of weird stuff, but like with the history of them, the government, the Central Intelligence Agency being incapable of keeping secrets, do you really think they would be able to keep one like that?
Yeah, no, most of it is like burning pits of like top secret waste, inventing new forms of cancer, and testing secret planes.
Yeah, things that are much less exciting than aliens.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Member said one more update, but it's going slow. Jesus, what the hell did he do to his computer? I haven't had updates like this, and
I mean, maybe he needs a new computer. Let's turn the tables. My computer's just fine, guys. Let's give him some shit.
no, because I got him that computer. No, I'm wondering what he. Oh, he must have. Yeah, because he booted it up so it auto updates when you boot it versus if you just have it running all the time, you have to choose when it updates.
I'm telling him he needs a new computer.
I think he just needs better internet. Or he has too much malware. Or spamware. Sorry. Bloatware.
I'm not going to bring any of that up. I'm not. I'm going to let his imagination run with it and see what he says.
No, that's what I'm
just
thinking. If he's honestly having problems with his computer, not his internet, when we go there, I can fix.
Oh,
give a shot.
I'm sure it's probably all the things that you just mentioned. Sure has nothing to do with just its age. I'm telling him anyways, though, because he gives me shit for it all the time.
I mean, your computer's something else, though.
It might be from the relative Stone Age, but it's still trucking along.
Your computer's, it's a miracle almost that your computer's still running. Also, not really, because you don't really have anything on it, so. It does what you need it to.
Yeah. He says he needs a direct internet line. I don't have that.
Well, yeah, because your laptop is made to not have it.
Can you be made to have better Wi-Fi without a direct landline or direct line?
Well, his computer doesn't have Wi-Fi by itself. I don't think. And what he's using for his internet, he has a pseudo direct line. It's a power line carrier where like he plugs the router into an outlet and it travels through his house electric system and then it travels down to his basement.
Oh, you're talking about Manbear's internet.
Yeah. He said he needs to get a hardwire down there, and I told him that initially, and he's like, I can't drill a hole in my mom's floor. I'm like, do it anyways. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, where the internet is, it's on one side of the house versus the middle of the house.
His is downloading really slowly.
Where
I can only imagine there's something that's not properly RF choked on his network. So it's plugged into the wall, feeding all sorts of weird noise into it, and that's the reason it's having so much trouble, because it's fighting through all this noise. Because it's not hard to ignore a 60 hertz signal when you're talking about something in the gigahertz range. Like,
Do you think he's
60
just really?
hertz is nothing to that.
I mean, honestly, he
sure
probably
he's-
could have just restarted his router and would have fixed it by now.
I feel like he's living in a bigger house. I wonder if he's just further away from the Wi-Fi source than most people are used to being.
Well, so for the power line carrier, it doesn't actually matter where in the house you are. The drop per room is not going to be that big of a deal. But for like just receiving Wi-Fi in his room, like from what he was saying, like the internet box is on the second floor, on like the north side of the house, and he's in the basement on the south side of the house. So that's why he can't even get Wi-Fi on his phone from the router, and they had to be in that room because that was the office. I guess that's pretty much.
Just like drill the hole, say a woodpecker got in, and then like, well, since the hole's already there, it'd be a shame not to use it.
I mean, Ken's not like that. He's way too honest. He wouldn't do that.
Honesty. I suppose it's beneficial.
Yeah, you can say what you want about him, but he will not make anything up.
Like I said, asking for forgiveness is easier than permission.
Well, in that case, could you run it through conduit? Like, is there a line of conduit in his house that's got enough vacancy for a Cat 5 cable? Or Cat 6, future-proof it, what the hell? Well, make it future-resistant, I guess. And then
Possibly.
just sort of, once you run it down into the basement, you can just sort of tack it along the wall. I don't mind that look if you do it right, it looks cyberpunky. If you have a bunch of, cables alongside it.
Or even if you have the open ceiling, just tuck it up in there and you won't even deal with it.
Oh, it has drop ceiling? Well, then, yeah, that's,
I don't know.
yeah.
I haven't been at the house yet.
I haven't. Do we have a date for when we're gonna go there and help him move stuff?
No, it's whenever the city's it's like the spring cleaning garbage pickup day.
I haven't seen it myself personally. I'm kind of curious. I'm imagining it being a bigger place.
Oh,
You mentioned 2 stories. I live in a ranch that's already bigger than what I have.
I don't actually know if it's 2 stories. I just know that the router is literally in the worst place for the house. It's tucked on the one side versus in the middle.
He does repeatedly mention a basement. I don't know if that counts as a story, but that would be a.
Yeah, he's on the floor below, at least one floor below. I don't know if there's one or two, but he's not on the same floor as it, and the router's on the opposite side of the house as him. It's either that or he's 2 floors below, which my router's on the opposite side of the house. And what I did, well, I had it in the basement. What I did was I ran it through, drilled a hole in the floor, ran a cable up, and I router in here. So now I have coverage on both sides of my house, on the both corners of my house. And that, if you're in the middle, then you pick up your phone. Your device will pick one of them and go with it. Oh, they also came up with it's just like the power line cable that goes through the electric poles, but they made one that's more for consumers for coax cable, like for your television cable. It sends it that way, so you can get less interference. You just tap it in like where our TV, like where the TV is, because no one uses cable anymore. You tap it in there, and then if you tap it into another one, like because a lot of places have like cable hookups in a bunch of different rooms, so then you just plug it into another one, and yeah.
Yeah, the whole house is networked and RJ8 cable hold. I can carry a lot, but like, if there is a hookup to whatever cable company's in the area, you'll probably find out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah. Yeah, I know that they're paired of some sort. It's either that or they're paired, that you can only have one send, one receive. Otherwise, it just gets sent and it doesn't respect anything that receives and sends back.
I don't really think of it a whole lot. How much better is it to have a direct link to the internet or
Huge.
cable? Huge?
It depends on what you're asking for.
Um, internet access.
About the same.
Opening new tabs.
So the difference between having a direct line versus using Wi-Fi. Generally, well, now with Wi-Fi 6, your Wi-Fi can be pretty fast, but generally you wouldn't have the limit of speed based upon position towards the router. Like the router, the farther away that you get, the longer it takes for the waves to get back and forth, and the slower your internet can be. And whether or not the power of your transceiver, of how fast it can provide internet for you. Hardline,
Yeah, you have to worry about signal to noise ratio.
yeah. If you hardwire it, you have the limitations of that port, and that's pretty much it. Because unless you're dealing with several 100-foot cable, the length does not drop off. That causes a lot of drop off, depending on other interferences.
The only thing hardwired in my entire house is my smart TV. Everything else is not. It's
So the going further along that point, the real part that is a crutch for when you're dealing with Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi is notorious for having like hiccups or fluctuations of ping. So like you'll be going, like let's say you'll 10 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds. All of a sudden, like for 2 milliseconds, it'll jump up to 200, 200, drop back down to 10, 10, 10, 10, and then jump back up. And it does that pretty frequently, but in most instances, you won't notice. If you're doing online gaming, that could disconnect you unless they have a way of maintaining that connection through it. So with the device that Manbear has, it's a pseudo hardline. It technically is. It actually, or it provides lower, like, just download speed than Wi-Fi probably would, but your variation of your ping is dramatically reduced.
Okay. Okay. So speaking of like ping and latency, if I'm playing online against somebody and everything's going smoothly for me, is it possible it's going the opposite for them? Or are they probably seeing what I'm seeing? Like, let's say we're playing Mortal Kombat online or Smash Bros. Online.
It's pretty noticeable if one or the other is having ping. Because I experience in Rocket League a lot, where like we'll be doing stuff, and then all of a sudden like someone's doing like their car moves in a way that it's not expected and it's not right because they kind of like jump or something. That's the type of thing. Like
Okay.
both sides experience lag if like especially like Mortal Kombat where it's a 1v1. If one person's having lag, both sides experience it.
Okay, I was curious because I was playing Smash with somebody once and we were talking to each other over phone because Smash's co-op speech is weird. And he's like, "Oh, the only reason you're kicking my ass is probably because of the latency." I'm like, I wanted to say you're an idiot because everything's going super smoothly for me, but I wasn't sure if things weren't for him.
That's probably just an
So
excuse.
yeah.
In the grand scheme, most of the um online gaming or whatever, that latency, there is a um compensation in the game for like latency based upon internet latency for varying, because like it comes to the place of like if someone lives 1 mile from the server versus another person living 50 miles from the server, one person could have 10 millisecond ping, the other person can have 40. That 30 can probably make a difference. So there's some compensation for online gaming that way. That's why, like, if you ever watch like professional scene, they have like a whole week to practice, because when you're on LAN, you have damn near zero latency, and it messes with you because it's different if
Oh
you're
yeah,
used to playing online.
that stuff gets framed perfect. I've seen people practice Smash again. My only experience in the fighting game scene, and people get weird with that game.
Hello, member.
Hey,
Your internet's working.
anybody else have Roll20 asking if you're human?
It does that every so often.
I've had that before, but only when I restart my computer.
The only when I log in.
It keeps asking me to verify if I'm human, and I keep clicking the I'm human button, and it just does it again.
Do you have pop-ups
It's calling
blocked?
your bluff.
Oh,
No.
yeah, ad blocker could do it.
Because might be trying to do a captcha for captcha.
You have
No ad
anything
blocker.
hiding your information?
Hit F5.
No.
Like firewall?
F5? It's the same thing.
Share your screen real quick.
I'm having no luck today.
Have you been replaced with a robotic duplicate of yourself without your knowledge?
Sometimes I feel like it.
It's depressing.
That would answer the question there.
I
It's a cyborg.
think you mean an android.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, so this is probably the same reason on why your Discord took forever to
Huh?
update.
All I heard was update.
This is probably the same reason why it was taking you forever for your Discord to update.
Why is that?
Because your internet's being dookie.
Oh. It doesn't help. The mom's boyfriend is home, and he likes to watch TV, play on his phone, and do a million other things all at one shot.
I mean, in that case, this is probably going to be a heavy roleplay sesh. Do we even need Roll20? I mean, that's. I'm
not
thinking it's
GM
probably.
today.
Probably
I'm thinking
not.
it's probably. No, unless somebody.
I
gets
mean, we
in a
don't
fight.
need it. Do we ever need Roll20? No, it's D&D.
Yeah, if we ever do get in a fight, we could just roll real dice.
All right. Cancel your screen so the windows go back to normal, or your stream. Hey, excellent. So how you feeling? You get ready to go?
Me? Yeah. Just tired. Been working a lot lately.
We figured.
A lot. 12 hours.
Yeah, a couple 12-hour days a week.
Yeesh.
I
Getting that.
was gonna say you probably could reset your router, and that normally helps out at least for a while. But if he's doing,
I can't do anything like that. Yeah, I can't do anything like that while he's home. He'll throw a hissy fit.
I don't know, you just go unplug it, plug it back in 5 seconds, and if he yells, it's like you'll have it back.
Not allowing the whole like woodpecker excuse. What if it wasn't an excuse and you actually trained a woodpecker to put a hole in the floor?
We were talking about this. We were coming
That'd
up with
be
game
fucking
plans.
sweet.
Right? Then it's the woodpecker's fault. I'm sorry. It just got in, did that, but while that hole is here, we might as well run a cable through it. It'd be a shame to waste it.
He has a point.
I have to figure out how to train a woodpecker to work on your cable management.
It really doesn't seem like there's
Operation.
any downside to having a hole in your ceiling. Like, you got the perfect ceiling for it. It's just a hole through what? Some wood?
Yeah, probably. Well, there's carpeting upstairs.
No,
not
you
So
won't
you'd
even
have
see
to
it.
go through the carpeting too.
Yeah. No one's going to even see it. You can just cover it up. You got the perfect situation to do that with.
Although it does make it a little harder to train the woodpecker.
Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to
You
roll
can
with
make
the whole
you can paint the carpet to look like little worms.
Oh, true.
But then they would have to peck through the carpet too, and not just the wood.
But they'd be eating the carpet because they think it's worms.